When my husband, Jeremiah, passed 2 years ago, the world didn't just feel quieter, it felt impossible. The house seemed too big, the bed too cold, and every room echoed with the absence of his laughter. He was a mechanic, a simple man with strong hands and a gentle heart. He didn't leave behind riches, at least that's what we always believed. But a month after the funeral, an envelope arrived. Life insurance payout. $1,200,000. I stared at the number until the zeros blurred into tears. Jeremiah must have planned this. He always worried about me. Worried that growing old alone would mean struggling alone. That money was supposed to be our safety net, my survival, my son's inheritance when the time came. And my son, Darius, he looked at that money like it was hope itself. He was my only child. My heartbeat walking around outside my body, a mama's boy from the very first breath. I raised him with everything I had, even when everything was barely enough. But grief does strange things to people. It makes some cling closer and makes others run faster. Darius drifted after the funeral. New friends, new habits, new secrets. He stopped coming home for dinner, stopped talking to me like a son talks to his mother. More and more, I found myself awake at night wondering, was I losing him too? One night, he came home smelling like trouble, that mix of expensive cologne and cheap decisions. He sat next to me on the sofa, flashing the smile he always used when he wanted something. "Mama, listen, I found an investment opportunity. Big returns, a fresh start for us." I wanted to trust him. I wanted to believe that the boy I raised, the boy who once cried into my shoulder after his first heartbreak, still lived inside this man with smooth words and restless eyes. He promised he'd double the money. He said Jeremiah would want us to thrive. He said he was doing it for me. I signed papers I didn't understand, because what mother thinks her child would hand her a pen dipped in betrayal? I didn't realize I was signing away every last dollar, transferring my lifeline into accounts controlled by the person I trusted most. A few weeks passed. Darius became harder to reach, his calls shorter, his tone sharper. Then one morning, I woke up to the kind of silence you can feel in your bones. The bank app wouldn't open at first. I thought maybe the Wi-Fi was down. When the numbers finally loaded, I dropped the phone. My knees buckled. I couldn't breathe. Balance, $0. Gone. All of it. And the only person with access? My son. I tried to call him again and again, but his number rang like a closed door. That afternoon, I went to his apartment. The landlord told me he'd moved out 2 days ago. No forwarding address. No apology, no explanation. My heart split open like a fault line. How do you process a betrayal like that? Not from a stranger, not from a thief in the night, from your own child, your baby, your blood. The neighbors must have heard me crying in the hallway, but no one came out. People avoid broken things. They're afraid the cracks might spread. Within 30 days, I couldn't pay the mortgage. Within 60, they took the house Jeremiah built memories in. Within 90, I packed what little I had left into 2 garbage bags. Insurance money gone, dignity gone. The love I poured into my son, stolen and spent. As I closed the door on the last piece of life I had known, I whispered into the empty house, "Jeremiah, I tried. God knows I tried." The sidewalk felt cold under my shoes. The world kept moving like nothing happened, and I realized I was homeless and I was alone. But the worst part? It wasn't losing the money. It was losing the child I thought I knew. There's a moment when pride has to sit down because survival needs the front seat. I hit that moment on my first night without a home. I sat on the edge of a bus stop bench, my 2 trash bags of belongings tucked tightly against my side. The streetlights buzzed overhead, drawing nighttime insects that flew in frantic circles above me. Cars sped past without slowing. Nobody looked at me. Nobody ever really looks at the invisible. The world has categories, those who have a place to go and those who don't. Around midnight, An older woman in a wool coat sat a few seats down. "First night?" she asked without taking her eyes off the street. I swallowed hard. "How'd you know?" She chuckled, not unkindly. "You still sitting pretty. Give it a week and you'll learn to lean back and rest when you can." Then she wrapped her arms around herself and closed her eyes. That hit me deeper than she knew, because part of me was still clinging to the idea that this was temporary, a nightmare that would reset in the morning. The hardest part was replaying the betrayal over and over again. My Darius. My baby. Every birthday, I scraped coins together to celebrate him. Every late night, I waited for him to come home safe. Every prayer, I whispered with his name first on my lips. And now here I was, the mother of a millionaire thief, shivering under a flickering street lamp. I kept scrolling through the last text he'd sent me. "Love you, Mama. I'll make us proud." Was that a lie? Or did he believe it at the time? The only thing louder than my questions was the hunger gnawing at my stomach, shame wrapped around me like a second skin. How do you ask for help when your own son robbed you of the life you earned? When dawn broke, it painted the sky soft pink, almost kind. I walked toward a community center I'd passed on the bus before. My legs ached from a night of fear and concrete. The volunteer at the front desk had kind eyes. "We can get you a meal and help you apply for temporary housing," she said gently. I nodded, trying not to cry. "Thank you." They gave me eggs on a paper plate. The smell alone made tears spill over. I ate slow, savoring every bite like it was a luxury meal. I asked if they had a phone charger. They did. When my phone powered up, I stared at my son's contact, Darius. I pressed call. Once, twice, 3 times, straight to voicemail. "Hey, baby. It's Mama. Call me, okay? I need to hear your voice." I hung up and held the phone close, praying he was just lost, not gone. The housing counselor helped me fill out forms. "Any family you can stay with?" I opened my mouth, then closed it. My sister Gloria lived across town, a woman who could hold a grudge longer than a mortgage. We hadn't spoken since she accused me of babying Daria after one too many missed rent payments. Still, I didn't have options. Pride, again, had to move aside. The walk to Gloria's door felt like crossing a battlefield. I knocked. The door cracked open, her eyes scanning me from toe to toe. "Well, look who the storm dragged in," she said. "Gloria, please, I just need a couch for a little while. I'll get back on my feet." She raised an eyebrow. "Where's your son? Thought he was your golden boy." That one sentence felt like a knife sliding between my ribs. I looked down. Cold concrete is a cruel bed. Even when I close my eyes, the noise never stops. The honking cars, the shouting strangers, the scraping wind blowing dirt across the sidewalk. But even worse is the silence that sometimes creeps in between. The silence that forces me to think. I hold my purse tightly to my chest, though there's hardly anything left to steal. My wedding ring? Gone. My mother's gold chain? Pawned for pennies on the dollar. The only thing left of value is the photo I keep tucked in the inside pocket. My son, at 11 years old, smiling wide as he showed off a drawing he made of us holding hands. "Look, Mama. It's you and me forever," he said. Forever didn't last long, did it? I sit, curled against the wall of a closed bakery, the metal door cold against my back. My stomach twists, painful and desperate. I've eaten nothing today. The woman I was a month ago, the woman who hosted charity luncheons and wore silk scarves, wouldn't recognize this version of me. The version who counts change to buy a stale sandwich. The version who prays that the night will pass without someone kicking her awake or taking what little she has left. Every time I shut my eyes, I see his face. Not the little boy in the photo, but the grown man with that blank expression the last time I confronted him. "Why?" I had managed to whisper, my mouth shaking with disbelief. He had shrugged, eyes colder than any winter night. "I needed it more than you. Investment opportunities. You'll be fine. You always figure it out." Figure it out. as if losing every dollar, every piece of security, even the roof over my head was a puzzle I could just solve if I worked hard enough. As if this wasn't betrayal. Deep, personal, bone-crushing betrayal. Every time I think I've run out of tears, new ones come. Tonight, a woman nearby coughs violently, pulling a dirty blanket over herself. A man mutters curses, pacing back and forth. Someone else is rummaging through a dumpster, the sound of empty cans clanking together, echoing like a warning. This could be your life now. This could be forever. I lift my head when footsteps approach. A security guard shines a flashlight at me. "You can't sleep here," he says, voice flat, routine. "I have nowhere else to go," I answer, my voice cracking at the edges. His expression doesn't soften. He's seen too many like me. Not my problem. Move along. He waits until I rise, sling my purse over my shoulder, and take a few steps before turning away. I wander. My legs weak. The streetlights blur through tears. I try to remind myself that I'm still alive. That means something. But survival feels less like living and more like clinging to the last thin thread of hope that hasn't snapped yet. I find a bench near the park. Not safe, but less crowded. My bones ache as I sit, shivering, despite wrapping my coat tight around me. The street smells like damp paper and exhaust fumes. My lips are dry and cracked. I can't stop shaking. I feel anger building. Stronger than my hunger, sharper than my fear. I gave him everything. Every birthday party, I planned. Every school project, I stayed up all night helping. Every bill, I paid. Every tear, I dried. I sacrificed so much. Never once expecting repayment. But he didn't just take money. He took trust, love, and the promise that motherhood would protect me in old age. My phone buzzes, a low battery warning flashing. The screen wallpaper is still his childhood picture. My finger hovers over the contact labeled, "My baby." I want to call him. I want to scream until he feels every ounce of pain he caused. Instead, I turn the phone off. I don't want to waste the battery on hope that will go unanswered. A wave of exhaustion hits so hard it feels like drowning. My eyes flutter, not from peace, but from surrender. Before sleep pulls me under, I whisper into the darkness, "You left me to die." But I'm not dying. I'm still here. The morning wakes me with a jolt, not because I'm rested, but because a police siren blares somewhere nearby. I sit up slowly, my back aching from the unforgiving bench. My mouth feels like cotton, and my stomach clenches with a sharp hunger that borders on painful. I notice a line forming nearby, a church group handing out breakfast. The smell of warm oatmeal and apples drifts through the air, pulling me like a magnet. I move toward the line, joining others who look as worn and invisible as I feel. Invisible. That's the hardest part. The way people look through you, or worse, the way they look at you with disgust, blaming you for your own downfall. The volunteer at the table is a young woman with kind eyes. She hands me a small bowl, steam rising from it. "Good morning," she says gently. My voice comes out barely a whisper. "Thank you." I sit on the curb and eat, slowly savoring each bite as if it might vanish. It's the first real food I've had in 2 days. Tears sting my eyes, not from sadness this time, but from the simple relief of being treated like a human being. Every swallow reminds me of all the meals I cooked for my son, how he used to climb onto the counter while I stirred the pot. "Mama, make it extra cheesy," he would laugh. I smile through the tears. The memory is warm, alive, but the warmth quickly turns into a burning bitterness. Where is that little boy now? Where did his heart go? After eating, I wander. I don't know where to go, but walking feels better than sitting alone with my thoughts. The wind pushes against me like even the world wants me gone. As I pass a bus stop, an advertisement catches my eye. A luxury car brand, a model, posing beside sleek metal and perfection. My son once begged me to co-sign a lease for a car he couldn't afford. "Mama, I need to look successful to be successful," he insisted. I had refused. Now I wonder if that refusal was one step on the road to this betrayal. I find myself sitting again. This time outside a library. The doors are open, a sanctuary that doesn't charge admission. Inside, the warmth wraps around me like a blanket. I pick a seat near a power outlet and plug in my phone, relief washing over me as the little battery icon turns green. I scroll through old photos. Birthdays, graduations, Christmas mornings. His smile in every one of them is mine. My reflection. My hope. I zoom in on his eyes in one photo, taken after his college acceptance letter arrived. There is excitement, trust, love. How do eyes change? How does a soul turn cold? A harsh thought creeps in. Maybe I didn't fail as a mother. Maybe he failed as a son. The phone vibrates suddenly. A new message. My heart jumps, foolishly hopeful, but it's just the bank. A reminder of my debt. Another punch to the gut. I rest my forehead against the phone, holding back another wave of tears. I don't have money for a motel or even a bus fare to a different shelter. All I have is this seat, this warmth, this momentary illusion of safety. A librarian approaches quietly, tapping the table. "Ma'am, are you okay? You've been sitting here a while." Her concern is genuine. That alone almost breaks me. I'm trying, I manage to say. She gives a slow nod. "If you need help, there are local support services. I can get you some information." Support services. A phrase that tastes like defeat, like admitting I truly have no one. But I nod anyway. I'd appreciate that. She brings me pamphlets, shelters, food banks, legal aid. I slip them into my purse, though I'm not ready to read them yet. Each paper feels like another reminder of how far I've fallen. The day passes. People come and go. No one knows who I once was, and maybe that's a blessing. Pride is hard to let go of, but hunger strips away whatever walls remain. When night comes again, I step back out into the cold, carrying nothing but my purse and a fading will to keep going. As I walk, streetlights flicker overhead like trembling stars. My breath leaves clouds in the air. A single tear escapes and slides down my cheek, not from sorrow this time, but from anger that refuses to die. I may be homeless, I may be broken, but I am not done. I lift my chin to the sky and whisper into the dark, "You raised the wrong woman to underestimate."
I wake with a start, a cold drop of dew slipping down the back of my neck. The bench beneath me is slick from the night air, and the morning rush hasn't begun yet. For a moment, I don't remember where I am. Then the ache in my bones reminds me, homeless. My reality now. I sit up, rubbing warmth into my stiff arms. I promised myself last night I would not give up. Today has to be the first step towards something better, even if that step is a small one. I pull the crumpled pamphlets from my purse. The paper shakes in my hands, from the cold or from fear. I don't know. I've always been the one helping others. I've never been the one who needed saving. One name stands out: Hope Harbor Community Center. Food, showers, caseworkers, help. I force myself to walk. It's a long walk, my shoes worn, my feet blistered. The city buzzes around me. Busy lives moving fast, while mine feels stuck in slow motion. Cars beep, people curse. No one notices the woman walking with her whole past weighing on her shoulders. By the time I arrive, my legs feel like rubber bands pulled too tight. The building is small but bright. Yellow paint, a mural of children holding hands. A sign taped to the window reads, "You matter." Those two words hit hard. Inside, the smell of coffee wraps around me like a memory of home. A receptionist looks up with a smile that doesn't feel forced. "Good morning, sweetheart. What can we help you with today?" Sweetheart. It's been so long since anyone called me that without wanting something. I swallow the lump in my throat. I need help. I lost my home. She nods, no judgment in her eyes. "Let's start with breakfast and we'll go from there." She leads me to a large room where others sit at tables, eating and chatting softly. A volunteer hands me a tray: scrambled eggs, toast, a banana, actual food, real food. For a second, I just stare, like I'm dreaming. Then hunger takes over. I eat slowly, savoring each bite, my body soaking in what it has been begging for. My chest warms with gratitude and shame tangled together. After breakfast, a caseworker named Mr. Daniels sits with me. He is calm, patient, the kind of man who probably listens more than he speaks. "So, Tell me what happened, he says gently. I want to lie, say something simple like, just bad luck. But the truth crawls its way out. My son, he emptied my accounts. All of it. It was my retirement, my future. His eyebrows pulled together, pain flickering in his eyes. Not pity, but outrage on my behalf. That kind of betrayal? I am so sorry, he says sincerely. We'll help you get through this. One step at a time. A tear slips out before I can stop it. I wipe it quickly, embarrassed. He slides a tissue box toward me. We're here. You're not alone anymore. Not alone. I cling to those words like a rope. He helps me apply for emergency housing. It might take weeks, but it's a start. He hands me vouchers for meals, a bus pass, and a small hygiene kit. Toothpaste, soap, deodorant, things I once took for granted feel like blessings from heaven. Before he leaves, he places a hand over mine, not lingering, just grounding. You're not defeated. You're just in a hard chapter. I nod, breathing in, exhaling strength. Outside, the sun is higher now. Warmer. The world doesn't feel as heavy. I sit on a bench facing the street, clutching my new bus pass. It's small, cheap, but to me, it's a ticket back into my life. For the first time in days, I feel something like hope. But deep beneath that hope is fire. A fire that whispers, he may have stolen your money, but he will not steal your future. I stand up, straightening my spine. Tomorrow, I will take another step and another until the woman that I used to be, she comes back stronger. I spend the next week learning the rhythm of survival, using the bus pass, finding the places that are safe to sit and breathe, avoiding the ones where eyes turn sharp and dangerous after dark. Hope Harbor becomes my anchor, a place where I am not invisible. Every morning I arrive for coffee and oatmeal, served by volunteers with tired but gentle smiles. I sign papers, fill out forms I never imagined I'd need in my life. Housing, food stamps, job placement, words that once felt distant for people struggling. Not someone like me, now belong to me too. And with each signature, shame loosens its grip. One day, a woman named Sandra, who works there, sits beside me. She's older, silver hair tied into a bun, eyes sharp, like she's seen everything and survived it twice. You look like you know how to work hard, she says, examining me. I do, I reply. I've worked my whole life. What did you do before? I managed finances, payroll for hospitals. She raises her eyebrows. That's a skill. And skills? They don't disappear just because your circumstances change. Her confidence in me pokes a hole in the fear swelling in my chest. She hands me a flyer. Administrative assistant, hiring immediately. It's part-time, modest pay, but it's a beginning. What if they ask where I live? I ask. Voice cracking. Sandra leans closer. You tell them you're in transition. People respect resilience. And you, honey, you're still standing. Still standing. That night, instead of the cold bench, I find a spot at a temporary women's shelter, a mattress on the floor, thin sheets, a room filled with the soft snores and whispered nightmares of strangers, and yet it is the safest sleep I've had in weeks. The next morning, I borrow clothes from the shelter's closet, a simple blouse, black slacks that fit better than expected. I look in a cracked mirror, smoothing the fabric with trembling hands. You are not broken, I whisper to my reflection. At the bus stop, I clutch the flyer as though it's a lifeline. Cars rush past, people rush past, and still I wait, grounded, determined. When I arrive for the interview, nerves dance beneath my skin, but I walk in tall. The hiring manager is a young woman who barely looks old enough to pay taxes, much less run an office. Her voice is brisk as she scans my resume. You have a lot of experience, she says, impressed. Yes, I reply, steady.
but truthful. I've had a recent setback, but I'm rebuilding. She studies me for a long moment. I soften, head nodding. Everyone deserves a restart. We could use someone dependable. How soon can you start? Relief floods so fast it makes me dizzy. I can start Monday. As I leave the building, the world feels brighter. The air tastes sweeter. But then my phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. Ma, can we talk? My heart lurches and stops. His name alone is a wound I still bleed from. My hand shakes so hard I nearly drop the phone. A storm of anger, pain, and love rages inside me all at once. He wants to talk. Now, after ripping everything away, after leaving me in the streets like trash, I shove the phone deep into my pocket, choking on a breath that refuses to come out smoothly. Not today. Today, I won. I found strength. I found help. I found a path forward. And I will not let the person who shoved me into hell drag me back into the flames. My legs feel weak, but my spirit stands taller than it has in a long, long time. I whisper to myself, you matter. You will rise. You are not done. I keep that text from Marcus buried in my pocket for 2 whole days, unread, unanswered. I refuse to give him any more of me, not my fear, not my tears, not my trembling hope. Monday comes and I step into my new job. Every breath an act of courage. They give me a small desk near the window, a computer, a phone. Tools that used to be ordinary now feel like stepping stones back to the life I lost. The manager, Alana, shows me how things run. She speaks quickly, but I catch every word because I want to, because I need to. Let me know if you need anything, she says, and I nod with gratitude I can't voice yet. Before lunch, she asked me to help call a vendor to correct some billing mistakes. My hands hover over the phone and for a moment, panic flickers. Last time I saw a screen full of numbers, that was the day I realized my own son robbed me. But I shake off the memory and dial, smooth, steady, like I've done it 1,000 times before, because I have. By noon, I've solved not 1, but 3 accounting errors. Alana's smile is real as she says, "You're a natural. We're lucky to have you. Lucky to have me." When was the last time someone said that? I eat lunch outside on a bench, a simple sandwich Sandra packed for me. The sun warms my skin. My back relaxes against the wood. For the first time in months, I breathe without the weight crushing my chest. Then, my phone buzzes again. Another text from Marcus. "I'm sorry, Ma." 3 words that slice deeper than silence. Sorry doesn't return $1.2 million. Sorry doesn't erase cold nights and empty stomachs. Sorry doesn't rewrite betrayal. I read it again and again. My heart fights itself, love and rage clawing inside me. I type, "Not ready," then delete it. I type, "Why?" Delete. I type, "You ruined me." Delete. In the end, I lock the screen and tuck the phone away again. Not today. After work, I walk into the shelter tired, but it's the kind of tired that comes from effort, not defeat. Sandra catches my eye the moment I step through the door. "Well, how'd it go?" she asks, hands on her hips. I break into a smile that feels like sunlight bursting through storm clouds. "I did it," I say. "I made it through the day." She pulls me in for a hug I didn't ask for, but desperately needed. That night, lying on the thin mattress, surrounded by the quiet breathing of other women rebuilding their own worlds, I stare at the ceiling. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I feel proud of myself. Not because of what I lost, but because of what I survived. I whisper into the darkness, "I will not crumble. Not now, not ever." Somewhere inside me, a new voice answers, a voice I've never used before. "He may have broken your bank, but he did not break you." 2 weeks pass. Every day I show up to work. Every day I learn. Every day I rise, one small victory at a time. I still sleep on a cot at the shelter, but now when I lay my head down, I feel purpose instead of despair. Sandra teases that I walk in like I own the place now. Maybe not yet, but I am beginning to own myself again. Then one evening, as I'm organizing receipts at my desk, Alana stops by holding a manila envelope.
This came for you. Personal mail, she says gently. My name, written in Marcus's messy handwriting, slices through me. He knows where I work. My stomach tightens. My hands grow cold. Everything okay? Alana asks. I nod, a lie, wrapped inside a shaking breath. In the break room, with a paper cup of water untouched beside me, I open the envelope. Inside, a long letter, another folded paper, a court document, a photo of us, me and Marcus on his graduation day, a mother's proud smile, a son's bright future. My eyes blur. The letter begins, Mama, I don't expect forgiveness. He writes about the addiction, money, power, approval, how one scam turned into another, and then the day he saw my account, so full, and he wasn't. He tells me he panicked. He tells me he was drowning. He tells me he hates himself for dragging me under with him. He writes, I'm turning myself in. I can't carry this anymore. The court paper confirms it. Marcus is confessing, pleading guilty to multiple counts of financial fraud. I slide down the wall until the floor catches me. My heart is a storm thrashing against the cage of my ribs. I never wanted revenge. I just wanted my son back. Is this what accountability looks like? Is this what justice feels like? Because it hurts. It hurts worse than when he took the money. And the bottom of the envelope, one more note. You didn't deserve any of what I did. I'm sorry. One day, if your heart allows, come see me. My tears fall, hot, heavy, unstoppable. Sandra finds me there and kneels beside me, arms wrapping around my shaking shoulders. I press the photo to my chest. I lost him, I whisper. No, she says firmly. You're getting him back. It's just not the way you imagined. Later that night, in my bunk, while the shelter quiets into soft snores and distant city noise, I stare at my phone again. This time, I text him first. I'm reading your letter. I'm hurting, but I'm still here. I hit send. No delete, no second guessing. I don't know what forgiveness looks like yet, but I do know what love looks like. It looks like showing up, even when your heart is bruised and bleeding. I fold the letter carefully and slide it under my pillow. I whisper to the shadows, I am not done. We are not done.
Weeks pass after Marcus's letter. I still don't sleep full nights. My body remembers fear too easily, but sunrise doesn't feel like an enemy anymore. My work life grows roots. I've been asked to assist with inventory and scheduling, small steps, but steps forward. Sandra calls me her right hand, and I secretly cling to those words like armor. One afternoon, I sit outside on my break, phone in hand, staring at a new text from Marcus. Mom, they set the court date. If you come, I'll understand if you don't. The message feels like a door he is leaving cracked open. Terrified I won't walk through. Every instinct in me wants to fix things, rescue him, but love doesn't mean losing yourself again. I text back, I'll think about it. I'm proud you're taking responsibility. My fingers tremble as I hit send. It's strange. The boy who once cried when he scraped his knee is now facing a judge in a prison sentence. And I, the woman who once had a house with a mortgage and a future plan down to retirement, is relearning life from scratch. One night at the shelter's roundtable dinner, volunteers serve steaming bowls of soup. A man named Harold, older, quiet, the kind who watches more than he says, sits across from me. He's battling homelessness and grief of his own. You walk like a woman who's been cracked, but not broken, he says gently. I swallow hard. Some days I can't tell the difference. He nods, slow and knowing. That's how you know you're still standing. His words settle inside me like warm tea. Later, back in my bunk, I journal. Sandra's idea to keep my heart from rusting shut. I write about my pain. I write about my son, but I also write, I am proud of me. I am surviving. I am still a mother, even if mothering looks different now. The next morning, a city outreach worker visits the shelter. She announces a program that helps women rebuild financial independence. Microloans for business ideas, job certifications, housing assistance. My pulse quickens.
A dream I'd buried long ago rises up. My own bakery, my grandmother's recipes, warm bread and cinnamon mornings, the kind of comfort that can change someone's day, someone's life. When I ask how to apply, the woman hands me a form and smiles. Your story isn't over. Don't let him taking the money mean he stole the future too. Those words hit me like a blessing. That night, I stroll outside alone. The cool breeze against my face like a prayer I didn't know I needed. The city lights blur into soft halos. My heart feels open. Marcus may be heading into a storm, but I am finally heading out of mine. I whisper into the night, I'm coming back for everything that was lost. And this time, no one will take it from me.
The courthouse is colder than I remember. Not by temperature, by memory. I sit in the back row, hands clasped tight like I'm holding myself together. Marcus hasn't seen me yet. He walks in wearing shackles and an orange jumpsuit that swallows the boy I raised and leaves only a man I barely recognize. His head lifts. His eyes scan the room. When he finds mine, terror and relief collide in his face. He starts to cry. A mother's heart can be disappointed, devastated, and still it loves. God help me, it always loves. The judge lists everything he did. Wire transfers, forged checks, false stories, the lies he fed the world just to take from me. From me, his mother. At sentencing, Marcus trembles as he speaks. Your Honor, I didn't think. I just wanted to live like I'd already made it. My mom, she always gave everything. I thought she had more to give, but I broke her. I broke the one person who always believed in me. He turns toward me. His voice cracks open. Mom, I'm so sorry. I clutched the edge of my seat. There was a time I'd run to him, gathered him up, protected him from everything. But choices have consequences, especially betrayal. When the judge announces 3 years in state prison with a mandatory rehabilitation program, Marcus nearly collapses. I feel the sentence land inside me too, sharp, real. Afterwards, they allow us a moment to speak. He stands only inches away, but feels miles far. Are you mad? He whispers. No, I say. And it's true. I'm hurt, I breathe, but I'm still here. He nods slowly, like that is more forgiveness than he deserves. I'll get better, Mom, he promises. One day, I'll repay everything. I take his hands, cuffed metal cold against my palms. I say, you can't replace the money, but you can rebuild trust. You start with that. A tear slips down his cheek and falls onto our joined hands. The guard leads him away. I watch the back of his head, familiar and foreign, until he disappears through a steel door, a door that marks an ending. But as I walk outside into sunlight, my heart knows the truth. This is our beginning. Broken, but still a beginning. I step onto the sidewalk, pull in a deep breath, and lift my face to the sky. Life tried to bury me, but I am sprouting, growing, reaching for light I refuse to lose again. I didn't sleep that night. I sat curled up on the sofa, blanket pulled tight around me like it was the only thing holding me together. My thoughts kept circling the same painful truth. Marcus was gone. My money was gone. And the woman I raised was fighting for my survival more than the son I birthed. Around 6 a.m., just as the first thin line of sunrise drew itself across the window, there was a knock at Vanessa's front door. My heart froze. Each thud echoed like a warning. My hands trembled on the blanket. Vanessa rushed from her room, hair messy, eyes still puffy from sleep. She looked worried, like she feared exactly what I feared. Mom, stay here, she whispered, tiptoeing toward the door. But I couldn't. My feet moved on instinct, dread pushing me forward. When she opened the door, every piece of breath inside me collapsed. Marcus stood there. Not the boy who hugged me after middle school concerts. Not the young man who cried in my lap after his first heartbreak. No, this Marcus looked hollow. His beard unkempt, clothes wrinkled, and eyes, those once innocent brown eyes, bloodshot and lost,
I could smell desperation radiating from him like smoke from a burning home. "Mama," he murmured, voice cracked. "I need help." The audacity of those words snapped something inside me, a sharp pain like glass shattering in my chest. Vanessa stepped in front of me protectively. "You need to leave. You did enough." Marcus ignored her, staring only at me. "Mama, I messed up. Those people I owe, they're coming after me. Please, please give me something. Anything." His hands trembled, his lips quivered. He tried to look like the child I raised, but all I could see was betrayal, dressed in regret. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I didn't beg him to explain. I simply looked at him and saw the truth. My son chose money over me, and now he wanted what little I had left, my dignity. "I don't have anything more to give you," I whispered. "Not money, not trust, not the pieces of my heart you've already taken." "Mama, please," he cried, voice breaking into jagged shards. Tears finally burned down my face. Not for him, but for the mother in me, still grieving the boy I lost long before he knocked on that door. "You stole my life," I said, barely audible. "You left me to drown, and now you want me to save you?" His silence told me everything. Vanessa opened the door wider, not for him to come inside, but for him to leave. "Go," she commanded. Marcus's eyes darkened with something that looked like anger, like entitlement. He stepped backward and then spit his pain on the ground like venom. "You're dead to me." And with that, my son, the child I carried for 9 long months, the baby I nursed with lullabies and prayer, turned and walked away. The door shut loudly behind him. I collapsed into Vanessa's arms, the weight of motherhood crushing me. "I didn't want it to end like this," I sobbed. Vanessa stroked my hair like I was the child now. "It hasn't ended, Mama," she said softly. "This is you beginning again." But as the sun fully rose, warming the glass, all I felt was the cold emptiness of a mother abandoned by the very life she created.
For days after Marcus walked away, my heart felt like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Some nights I still reached for my phone, wanting to text him. "Are you safe? Do you need food? Can we fix this?" But every time my fingers hovered over the keys, reality stopped me. I had already given him everything. Now I needed to give something to myself. Vanessa didn't let me drown in sorrow. She signed me up for a senior support group, helped me talk to a lawyer, even created a GoFundMe to raise awareness about financial elder abuse. To my surprise, people cared. Strangers sent encouraging messages. Friends from church donated what they could. My story resonated with others who had been betrayed by the ones they trusted most. One afternoon, I was asked to speak to a group of mothers who had faced a similar heartbreak. I stood in a small community center, hands shaking, voice trembling. But as I looked into the eyes of those women, eyes full of pain like mine, I found strength. "I lost everything I thought gave my life purpose," I said. "My money, my home, my son." But I discovered something I never expected. I discovered me. I told them how betrayal doesn't mean failure, how love can hurt, but love can also heal, how a mother can break and still rise. When I finished, the applause washed over me like a sunrise after a long winter night. I felt alive. Months passed. With community support and legal guidance, I slowly rebuilt. We found a modest apartment I could afford. The furniture was secondhand, the curtains uneven, and the kitchen small. But it was mine. My name on the lease. My new beginning. On move-in day, Vanessa brought me a gift. A framed quote. "Sometimes the child we gave life to teaches us how to live without them." I hugged her so tight they could feel her heartbeat. I whispered, "You saved me." She smiled softly. "No, you
saved yourself. Some nights, I still pray for Marcus. Not for the money, not even for an apology. I pray he finds the man he was supposed to become, the one I once believed in, because a mother's heart never stops loving. But now, I finally learned to love myself too. As I sat on my small balcony that first evening in my new home, the sky painted itself in shades of gold and lavender. The breeze kissed the worry lines from my face, and I closed my eyes, breathing in a future I never imagined. I lost a son to greed, but I found a woman, stronger, wiser, unbreakable. My story didn't end in betrayal. It began with survival and continues in hope.